Alright, so this is our project over Japanese dialects.
Okay, so the first dialect that we're going to talk about is, of course, the main one, the Tokyo dialect. Of course, it's mainly spoken in Tokyo, which is the capital. And sometimes it's called the Kanto dialect because it's kind of spoken in the greater Kanto area. It's what you'll hear on TV, like news and stuff. It's what most people speak in shows, TV shows and stuff like that. And it's what's taught in school to students in Japan, and it's obviously what we're learning in our classroom. And it's basically the standard dialect of Japan.
The next dialect is called the Suguru dialect, and it is mostly a part of the northern portion of the main island, and you can see that on the map. It's the whole yellow area in the Aomori prefecture, and some of the locals will even say that the accent of this certain dialect is so thick that it sounds very much like a foreign language even to them. And with some of the words, it can be seen why. So the word that is oishi, that we all know to mean delicious, is pronounced me. It's also known for having much shorter phrases. So the word, or the phrase ikura desu ka, is shortened to nanbo, which is very weird comparing it to the Tokyo dialect and every other standard dialect that we know. And it's typically shorter because the winters in the northern portion of the island are, generally speaking, much more cold than everywhere else. And because of that, if it's cold outside, you're really going to want shorter phrases to go out. So that's why the phrase ikura desu ka is just nanbo.
Okay, so the next dialect is the Kansai dialect. As the name suggests, it's mostly spoken in the Kansai region, and sometimes you may even see it called the Kyoto dialect or the Osaka dialect because the two biggest cities that speak it are in the Kansai region, Kyoto and Osaka, which is, of course, in Western Japan. There's a lot of different things that differentiate Kansai dialect from standard Japanese, but some of the most common ones are that the sentence ender copulas, des, and the less formal da are often shifted into ya. So it would be like oishi des, oishi ya instead of oishi des or oishi da. And oftentimes, instead of making words negative in the short form by adding night, they often use hen. So tabenai would be tabehen. Kansai dialect is often associated with comedy also, and comedic acts where kind of a two-man stand-up routine where one person will act a bit foolish and speak in the Kansai dialect, and the straight man will ridicule him for being foolish. And the next dialect is the Chugoku dialect. It's found in the Okayama region of Japan, which is near the southern tip of the main island. Instead of using the copula ya, like in Kansai, they often use ja or da. There's a lot of different words, like instead of saying the word in Tokyo dialect for because, in the Chugoku dialect, one would probably use ken or ke.
Another one of the main dialects is called the Kyushu dialect, and it is mostly upon the Kyushu island, which is the very southernmost tip of Japan itself. And this accent is typically more of a rural accent, not like the Aomori dialect or prefecture, but more so it gives it the idea that it's more rough and dynamic. And whenever comparing it to the Tokyo dialects, it's also sort of weird. For example, the pronunciation, some vowels are different, and for I vowel ending adjectives, they become ka. So yoi becomes yoka, and Samui becomes Samuka. So very weird from the traditional Japanese that we learn in a typical classroom. Also, instead of saying "そうですね," they say "yoka," which is another sort of very weird kind of shift along the southern region. And the very last dialect is called the Ibaraki dialect, and it is mainly along the Ibaraki prefecture, which, as you can see on the map, is north, pretty much north of Tokyo. It's still in the Tokyo dialect region, but this prefecture itself just has a very different sort of surrounding dialect. And this is also very weird compared to the standard Tokyo dialect. So this dialect will change some pronunciations, such as the G sounds become the K sounds, and the B sounds become P. So for example, words like yukata becomes yukata. So kind of weird. If you were to go to Tokyo to Ibaraki, you might not know what they're going to say. There's also a definite loss of distinction between the I sounds and the E sounds, kind of. So the word for iru in pensu, which is colored pencil, sounds like ero in pensu, which is, they sound very similar to each other, which is that loss of distinction right there. And also natives in this dialect end sentences with pe or be. So words such as nandeska become nandepe among locals. So just know that they are saying that they are asking a question. It's just going to sound very different depending upon where you go. And these are the sources that we used for each of the dialects.